What's up, everybody? It's Chris Angel and Theresa Bastian.
Hello.
Theresa, it's the Let's Move Austin show. I love it. I think I've lost count on what's episode 3, 4.
I think this is number 4, Chris.
4. This is number 4. I love it. Today we're talking about an important conversation that happens often in hot markets like Austin has right now, and that is multiple offers.
Yes.
I want to dive into sort of unpack the mystery of multiple offers and kind of educate people around how they work. Why do they happen? What do we do if we're in one, and all that?
I have a lot to say about this.
So what is a multiple offer? Yeah, right. Surprising.
Shocker, right?
Yeah. Let's start with what it is.
Okay. So a multiple offer situation is where one house is for sale and it receives more than one offer. So multiple offers.
Yep.
So that's just the barest bones. That's what it is.
Yeah.
A lot of people think, oh, well, we have to hurry and see that house the minute it goes on the market or before it goes on the market because we want to have our offer in first.
Yeah.
In actuality, oftentimes it doesn't matter which offer is in first. If the seller and the listing agent gather several offers, they don't have to respond to them in the first come, first serve. It's multiple offers.
I have seen where people will do hey, we're reviewing all offers on this day. So it kind of gives you like a window of 3 to 7 days to bring an offer in. Is that happening in Austin?
We do see that in Austin, although I caution people just because they say they're going to wait till Sunday at noon, if they receive some offer that's like a wheelbarrow full of cash, there's no rule against them accepting that offer early. So it's nice when agents give that guideline, but it's not foolproof that you get that guideline that you get all that time.
It sounds like there's kind of a fine line between we don't have to put it in immediately, but we also don't want to wait so long that we miss our window where the seller decides.
Definitely. When I'm working with buyers, one of the things that I like to do is tell them we need to go the first opportunity we have to see the house.
Yeah.
But even when you do see it very early and you make your offer very early, it doesn't mean you automatically get responded to early. You can still, for all your best efforts, end up in a multiple offer situation. I would
bet if people aren't prepared for that, they may have to get out of work. They may not when it's open and you got a chance to go, you got to go see it. And so sometimes in a hot market, you got to kind of bend over backwards to make it happen. Yeah.
Especially in first time buyer price ranges. Yeah. What I will often do is schedule a time on a Saturday or Sunday, convenient to both buyers or, convenient to my client. And we'll go look at 3, 4, 5 houses in the area they're interested in, even if those houses already have offers accepted, just so that they can get a chance to get out and see some inventory, really feel what 1,500 square feet feels like. Yeah. I can also learn a lot from, doing this with them so that, a week or two into it, when there's only one house in their price range comes on the market, we understand how important it is to get out there. And they've seen several houses before the one that, they have to decide on in 5 minutes.
I love that idea of getting out and even looking at stuff that's under contract. I remember years ago, somebody said real estate is a scratch and sniff business. You just have to get out.
Especially if you're a first time buyer, if you've been living in an apartment for years, just walking through the house, it's a process, and it's kind of nice to do that without the pressure of having to decide right now. So it's something I like to do.
So tell me, why do multiple offers happen? Why are there so many in Austin? How many are there?
Well, this is, I would say, year 4 of multiple offers being pretty prevalent, especially in certain neighborhoods and definitely in the lower price ranges. And it has to do with, inventory. We have more people that want to buy houses than we have houses for sale. So especially if a house is priced right, especially if it's, well put together, it's going to get multiple offers. They are the exception for certain price ranges and neighborhoods.
Right.
They're the norm, not the exception. I like to be prepared for them.
Is there a stat on how many there are?
There isn't a stat because our data comes from the MLS And the MLS doesn't capture that.
Right.
Anecdotally, I can tell you that 4 out of the last 5 buyers that have been represented by this brokerage were in multiple offer situations.
Yeah.
So in my experience, it's quite common, but there's not hard data.
So knowing that that's just kind of the way it is right now, and that's probable that that's going to happen if you're in the market to buy a house. What should buyers be discussing with their agents right now in regards to multiple offers before they even find a house?
See, and that's the key. Like we were saying earlier, like I don't want to take buyers out, have them fall in love with the house, and then start going down the road of what if. We do all this upfront in our consultation when we start working with a buyer. Before they fall in love with the house, we talk about multiple offers.
Yeah. Because
you need to get an understanding that it is normal. It doesn't mean that you're going to overpay for the house. Right. It doesn't mean that, there's some kind of feeding frenzy. It doesn't mean you're not meant to own a home. It doesn't mean it's too hard or too competitive, but you laugh, but if you're the buyer and you've finally saved enough money for a down payment, and then you find out everybody wants the house you want, it can be very daunting. Yeah. So we walk through all of this before there is a house they are in love with. We talk it through.
Are there certain strategies that can help my offer get accepted versus other offers?
There are many, many things to do. And that's one of the things I go over with my buyers. We have a pretty good system involved for knowing how to present to the other side to make our buyer's offer stand out. Right. And so given that I know several different things, number one is price. Okay. Right. But I have had people that I represent who did not offer the highest price for a property that still got the property. Yeah. Because price is one thing. There's a whole host of other points on an offer or things that might be important to a seller. And if we can assess those, we can do a better job, even if our budget is limited. Because I don't want my clients to throw money around and overpay for properties either.
Right, of course. What are some specific strategies then that you use to make sure that buyers sort of have the best chance?
So number one, if my buyer has any interest in the property, let's say we're going to see 3 homes, but the second one, it felt really good and they're not ready to stop. They're still going to look at house number 3. I will call that agent and find out if they have any offers on the property. I'll call the listing agent because it can happen that fast. So if there's any interest, I want to make sure that agent knows that my clients may want to also submit an offer. So that's one strategy, right? Slow the process on the listing agent. I should back up even farther, even before that, before my clients even see the house. The way that we schedule appointments, I call or text the agent or the homeowner to get that appointment. It's critical to be polite and professional from the very first time you interact with these people. Like they're going to potentially remember my name. Yeah. I am representing these buyers. If I've been kind of short with them or kind of smarmy that I couldn't get the time I wanted, they're going to remember that. And something that small could make the difference in my buyer's offer getting accepted. So that's a number one is just be professional from the start.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah. What else?
So be professional, let them know if you're interested.
Yeah.
I would say also then the net price is one thing, but there are a bunch of terms in the contract. So one of the terms is I'll just give you for example. Yeah. Let's say my clients have a mortgage. On the mortgage third-party financing addendum, there's a number of days that the buyer is allowed to have before they can back out of the contract if they didn't get financing. Okay. If I've got all the time in the world, smart move is for me to put a long number of days in there to protect my buyer.
Right.
When I know it's going to be competitive and I sense there's going to be multiple offers, I make that number really small. Like maybe because my clients have already worked the lender. I know they're good to go. Like we've done this work up front. So I could submit that offer with only, 2 days in the finance.
Right.
It doesn't cost my client anything. And I can emphasize that when I present the offer to the listing agent as one more thing that sets my offer apart. If all the other offers have 14 days and 21 days and mine only has 2, that means I'm saying my client knows their financing is in order. You can be sure of this.
Yeah. Yeah. Is that connected to or attached to like a pre-approval versus pre-qualification?
Well, and that's why I'm using lending and financing as the example. When you submit an offer, we're going to submit their pre-approval letter.
Yeah.
And it's going to have the loan officer's cell phone. In my email to the other agent, I'm also going to include the loan officer's name and cell phone number. And I'm going to text my loan officer, my client's loan officer, let him know, Joe and Susie have just made an offer on a home. Here's the listing agent's contact information. You might want to connect with them. Yeah. And so that lender can call the listing agent and say, hey, I'm sure you've received this offer. I just want you to know I've looked at all their stuff. They're really solid borrowers. They're good to go. Yeah. So again, we want to present a picture to this other agent that my clients and I are super easy to work with, super organized. Yeah. Their financing is solid. This is going to be just a really easy transaction start to finish.
It seems like that's obvious. Although I would imagine if you were with a less experienced agent, you just wouldn't know how important some of those pre-looking at houses details are. Like, you got to dial this in before you ever go look, because that's right. Critical.
Because time becomes of the essence once you're looking. Yeah. I think one thing I'd like to say on that is, you would think that after 3 or 4 years of multiple offer scenarios, that every agent would have keyed into this, but it is not true. I also, in addition to working with buyers, I list a fair amount of homes. Yeah. So I'm on the other side. We can talk about that another day, but when you represent the seller, you get the multiple offers. Right. And it is shocking, Chris. I say shocking to see the variety of stuff that comes in. Yeah. There are clearly agents that, haven't caught on to how to make an offer competitive. Yeah. Besides just the price.
Right.
And there's a lot of nuances.
Right. I think that goes, this is one of the things that, 17 years in this industry, just feeling like people, the consumer sometimes thinks we're all the same, right? They're like, we open doors, we put signs in yards, and that's about it. Like, why do we pay you? What are you really doing for us? But this, especially in a hot market, if you don't have strategy on your side, if you don't understand the way it works, I mean, like you said, it's the difference between you missing out on a great house, getting the house. Right.
So. Well, thanks for making me feel old for how many years I have in the industry.
Well, that was my years in the industry. We're pretty close, you and me.
You were pretty close.
Tell me about some of the other things that you do.
Okay, so one other thing we do, and there's some controversy about this one. I still am coming down on the side of recommending my clients do it. I do not force my clients to do it. It is the client's choice. But I think it helps for clients to write a personal letter to the seller and express a little bit about themselves and why they're interested in the property. Yeah. So, for example, I had clients recently. They were in the process of adopting a husky. They're first-time home buyers and no kids. This was like their practice baby. Yeah. And so they really fell in love with this particular property because it was close to the church they worship at. And it had this fantastic backyard for their, soon-to-be husky. Yeah. And so I encourage them to, write the letter and just kind of say, because it connects them to the house, right? Yeah. It's like, why this house for these people? Yeah. And they went above and beyond. They included this, like, some lyrics from the song they listen to when they go around house hunting and dreaming about neighborhoods. And I'm not going to say it was the letter alone, but we did win that house in a multiple offer situation. So. Wow. Yeah, I think that personal letter is a nice touch.
I think people buy people sometimes more than contracts. I think if I love my house and I know that my house is going to somebody who's going to love my house as much as I love my house, I think that matters to me.
Yeah, I mean, you can run the risk of alienating someone. I mean, it's a valid point, and I'm happy to discuss that with my clients. But I think that when you're real and you're authentic, and people generally respond to that. That's kind of where I come down on that.
I think so too. I think so too. Are there any other things that are around multiple offers that you think people listening to this should know?
You want to hear a really crazy one? Yeah. This one I do not recommend for first-time home buyers. It's for, I'll explain it to anybody, but most first-time home buyers, this is not appropriate for. But if you're a seasoned home buyer and you are fairly risk tolerant, in Texas, we have an option period. It's a certain number of days. And you pay a certain number of dollars to the seller for that number of days. And during that number of days, you can change your mind for any reason. And all you lose is that negotiated upon number of dollars. Mm-hmm. Standard is $100 for 7 days. Okay. Yeah. So In a hot market with, anticipated multiple offers, maybe I would write $100 for 5 days or $200 for 3 days, try to get a little more cash to the seller and a little less number of days out there.
Right.
During that number of days, you generally have your home inspection done.
Mm-hmm.
So, you kind of, if it's going to be up against a weekend, you can't get an inspector out, sometimes it's hard to narrow it down all the way. But
Right.
that's one really important variable. Well, if it's a very seasoned buyer and their comfort level is good, we can write the offer with no option period, meaning the buyer has no reason to change their mind without cause.
Right.
Now, they still have several other parts of the contract that would protect them. If the title insurance comes back and the title policy comes back and there's some kind of problem with the title, or the survey comes back and there's a railroad track going through the middle that we didn't know about. I mean, there's still ways to get out of the contract, but they're not as obvious, and they're not like change your mind for any reason ways. Yeah. But I have written my own personal house that I bought, I wrote with no option period. Yeah. And I won my own house in multiple offers.
Yep, we did that on our house too. Yeah, I think it comes down to if what I'm hearing you say correctly is just making this super easy, as easy as possible for the seller. The easier it is for the seller, the more likely your offer is attractive compared to other offers.
Absolutely, and I totally forgot to say something that I do want to put in there, even though it's out of order. I always call the listing agent and say, hey, my clients are going to be submitting an offer. We would like to know what's important to your client besides the bottom line price. Because everybody's going to say price, but what else? Do they need a week lease back? Do they need a quick close? A lot of people think a quick close is helpful, but that freaks some sellers out. So if you already know they'd like till the end of 2 months from now, that's good to know, right? Yeah. So I decided to just you want to know what they want? How about ask them?
Yeah, that is so money. That is such an easy thing to do that most people just don't do.
I think most agents tend to get so caught up in the excitement. Oh, my clients want to write the offer. Let's hurry and write the offer. But take the step and find out what does the other side really care about?
Yeah, that is so good.
That's slow down just to, you have to be ready to go fast at the appropriate times and slow down at the appropriate times. Yeah.
I think anybody listening to this can kind of get how important it is to have somebody with some experience representing them, right? Like seriously, I mean, it's so important. It's so important.
Well, or someone that regularly deals in the price points and neighborhoods that have multiple offers. Because you might be 17 years in the business, but maybe your price point, or you primarily do commercial, or you primarily list property. Maybe you don't work in this zone.
Right.
You wouldn't have this knowledge if you don't work this price range and neighborhood.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, that's so good. I love this, Theresa. This is so good. This is so important. So good. Anything else? Anything else you want to pass on about multiple offers?
I would say that I would just like to tell people when they hear multiple offers, don't get freaked out. Yeah. And it doesn't mean you're going to overpay. And when I work with buyers and I know it's going to be multiples, I often run the numbers, and you know how much I love data, but I'll run the numbers and say, I just don't think we should go over this price. Let's say it was, $290. And I'm like, I really don't think this property will appraise for more than $305. Yeah. My clients really want it. If it goes for over $305 and that was their max, you have to be ready to say, you know what, I didn't want to overpay. Someone else did. Yep. I'm comfortable with my decision. So don't look at it as, you're automatically going to be outbid. But if you are outbid, there's probably a good reason. And the next house is either going to be more appropriate for your budget or a better fit all around. It doesn't mean like you lost.
Right. Yeah, that's really good perspective. Yeah. I love it. I think it's really important that people, if they're in the market for a house, especially in a hot market, that they need to have this kind of a conversation, a strategy session before they're ever out looking at homes.
And this is why when my phone rings and someone is parked outside one of my listings and can you come show me this house? Right. Of course, I'm going to do it because I have to represent my seller. But buyers that just randomly call phone numbers of different agents every time they see a house that catches their interest, they're missing out on this kind of expertise. Yep. And that's what, that's frustrating all the way around.
Right. I think where I'm at right now in this conversation is like, people are going to want to know, like, what do I need to know? I want to talk to you. Like, how do people reach out to you to have this kind of a conversation.
Well, my
Yeah,
cell
like
phone number is the best way. It's 512-297-3442.
Nice.
And our website is letsmoveaustin.com. All the contact information is there as well.
Okay. All right. I love it. Theresa, another great episode.
Thanks, Chris.
This information is so important. So thanks for sharing.
I think that we're still going to need it for many months to come in Austin. So this one, put a star by this one.
Yeah. Keep sharing this out with people that you know are getting in the market to buy a house, because they need to know this stuff before they ever get started. So,
well, I appreciate the chance to like collect it all in one place, because it's all things that I do kind of instinctively. So it was good to actually, you know, slow down enough to explain it. So thanks for the chance to do that.
Yes. Another successful episode 4 in the books.
Bye,
Thanks, Theresa. See you next time. Bye.
Okay.